Hello, in this video, I'm going to show you the fastest way to get accurate channel groupings in Google Analytics 4. Before we start, it's important to remember that channel groupings are just buckets of sources and mediums. What does that mean? That means that source and medium and campaign and term, those are what we often call UTM parameters, although they're strictly speaking not just UTM parameters. Those are the things that are actually tracked by Google Analytics 4. Channel groupings are just ways to group them together. They're just ways for us to sort of simplify reporting. Still, they're very important to a lot of people because it makes it easier to see where things are coming from. For instance, paid search, if you're doing Google ads and Bing ads, the source and mediums are going to be Bing and Google and CPC or PPC or something like that. Whereas the channel grouping would be paid search. So we can see how our paid search is performing. That being said, anytime you see problems with your channel groupings, it's good to dig into your source and mediums because source and mediums, again, are the truth, whereas the channel groupings are just buckets that we define to group those truly tracked things together. Okay, with that caveat out of the way, let's jump into how to define channel groupings in Google Analytics 4. So here's my process. I like to start with Universal Analytics because I have a long history of data in Universal Analytics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the source and medium for my highest traffic source and mediums out of Google Universal Analytics, and then I'm going to create a spreadsheet defining all of those channel groupings, and then I'm going to put that spreadsheet into Google Analytics 4. So let's do it. Okay, so first I go to my Universal Analytics property, and I'm going to go to the actual unfiltered property. The reason why is I want to get the raw data in this case. So if you do have an unfiltered property, I recommend you use that. And then I'm going to build a customization that looks like this. I'm going to build a custom report. And that custom report can include the metric. The only real metric that we need is sessions, although you could include things like purchases and let's just go ahead and do it. Transactions and revenue for reference. And then I'm going to pull in source, medium, and channel grouping. Good. I'll make it a flat table and I'll hit save. Let's select a long timeline. So let's make sure that we select at least the last 3 months, but you could select the full year if you like to make sure that I get all of my channel groups. Okay, great. And now I'm going to show as many rows as I need. 50 is usually enough. Those will be your top 50 channel groups. If you're a larger store, a larger site, you may need 100. But I'm just going to go ahead and select 50. Great. And I'm going to go export Google Sheets, import the data. You may see a pop-up warning if you haven't exported data from Google Ads before. All right, great. Then all I have to do is copy this whole thing. I'm going to go over to this report this spreadsheet that I've created, and I go to the raw Universal Analytics data tab and paste it in. May take a second for the data to paste. And there it is. Great. And now I go over to the GA4 custom channel groupings. I'll see that it's populated my raw Universal Analytics data. And now I have, for reference, the source, medium, and the channel grouping from Universal Analytics. And over here in Google Analytics 4, I'm going to define what I want this to be in Google Analytics 4. Now, keep in mind, channel groupings are different in Google Analytics 4. They work the same way, but the default channel groupings in Google Analytics 4 are quite different than Universal Analytics. For one thing, there's a bunch more of them. There are 18 of them, right? Some of them probably aren't going to be relevant if you don't have an app. You won't get mobile push notifications and things like that. But just be prepared for these to be quite different, right? So these channel groupings will be different than Universal Analytics. So one thing you could do is just go ahead and copy over the default channel grouping over here, and you could make a channel grouping in GA4, that's like, hey, universal analytics channel groupings, right? So you can do that. Or my recommendation would be to take the time to think about how you really want these sources and mediums to be bucketed in Google Analytics 4, right? By default, Google Analytics 4 you can adjust these default channel groupings, and Google has provided some documentation on what these channel groupings are. So you can come here and you can see that what it is paid shopping is going to be the source platform is Google Ads, and the campaign type is shopping, etc. Some of these are source platform Google Ads, and the network is social. There's other channel groupings down here for manual traffic. That's going to be relevant for paid social in particular. So it's on the rejects of social sites. That's Facebook, Twitter, etc. And the medium is one of these, right? Okay, cool. So these are the default channel groupings in Google Analytics 4. We want to define custom channel groupings, but it's good to have those for reference. So this one, of course, Google organic, we're going to call that organic search. Okay, direct is going to remain direct, naturally enough. Now, Facebook social, right? This is one change from Google Analytics 4 from Universal Analytics. If we go and we look at the channel groupings here, right, and we search for social, Google Analytics 4 calls this organic social. It's probably a good idea to stick with the names provided by GA4. So let's go ahead and call this organic social instead of just social. The reason why is we're going to distinguish between organic social and paid social. All right, YouTube description. What's this going to be? Let's find out. What is it? It's probably not YouTube. It's probably organic video. So let's look. Organic video, sure enough, that's what we wanted, right? Here's a description of what it should be, and this is from YouTube. So organic video, cool. All right, now here's one. This is our website for the App Store, so that's why Shopify here is listed. The apps.shopify is a channel group or a source and medium for us. Of course, if you're a Shopify store, you're not going to have this, but you probably have a random referral source or things like that. You may want to rename that because it might be such an important channel for you. In our case, this is. So I might call this Shopify App Store, right? If you have a channel group that is a bucket of source and mediums that is so important to you as to merit its own channel group, go ahead and do that, right? Customer IO, this has email action. That's our email provider. Of course, that's going to be email in our case. This is an important one. This is not how Google Analytics 4 would bucket this by default, right? By default, it's looking for email. Cool. All right. And I can keep going down the list here. Of course, Facebook here, Facebook has lots of different things. So I could call this, hey, the channel grouping here is organic social, right? The reason why it's organic is because the medium is referral. If the medium was CPC or PPC, then it would be paid social. So I can keep going down this list here, right? Of course, I got lots of channels and things like that. There's a couple that I wanted to point out in particular that are particularly relevant to Shopify stores or maybe relevant to your store, right? And those are going to be, of course, paid social. That's very important. That's the channel grouping that it's called now, right? You can, when you're creating these, instead of assigning them, which we're about to do, in this spreadsheet, you probably still just want to assign this and say, hey, this is paid social. But I'll show you a trick that makes adding paid social a little bit faster when we add it into Google Analytics 4. Okay, cool. And then the other one that I wanted to point out is affiliates. Now, by default, Google Analytics 4 is going to just assume that the medium has to be affiliate. For other people, for your store, it's important to understand if you have affiliates that the medium, which is the UTM parameter medium in this case, that's the only way to get a medium of affiliate, right, has to be affiliate for it to be tracked as an affiliate channel group. So you might want to define a channel group that has more information there, right? In particular, the source Rakuten or other sources, those could be those could be affiliates. So that's one to watch out for. And then email's the last one to watch out for, right? So take a look at the email medium and just make sure that the email medium here, which the standard definition is this, the source is this, or the medium is this, matches your thing. You might put source equals Klaviyo, for instance, right? Although Klaviyo does put the medium as email, so you would be okay there. But this is an example of how my email medium here, which is email action, right, would not be bucketed under email by default. It would make it under referral, I would suppose, or other or something. So those are the big three to watch out for: paid social, email, and affiliates. Okay, once I've defined all my channel groups here in this spreadsheet, I need to add them to GA4. I'll show you how to do that. What you're going to do is go to your GA4 property, go to the admin settings, and you're going to open data settings, channel groups. Okay, so by default, we have this default channel grouping, and this is built by Google Analytics 4, obviously, and that's what's defined over here. It cannot be edited. I can look at the definition, although it's not very helpful. It just tells me that the default channel group equals direct, the default channel group equals cross network. So you have to reference this link that we have provided under references here to be able to understand what's going on, right? All right, what I want to do is create a new channel group. I can name this whatever I want. Custom channel group is fine. Cool, and you can give it a description. Our custom channel groups. Okay, and you'll see by default, it imports the default channel grouping. There may be some that you want to get rid of. You might not have cross network. You could remove that from the list. Okay, cool. You might not have mobile push notifications. Doesn't really matter if they never get used, but you can remove that channel group if you like. Great. And here's my list of channel groups. Now, let's start with, in my case, right here, the email is one of the important ones that we saw as a difference. So I'll show you how to add that, right? Email here, I can have default channel group equals email, right? Or, and this is important because this is a difference between the UI in Universal Analytics and GA4. If you just click add channel group here, you'll see that it says and. That means if I did something like this, if I said the medium equals, what did I have here? The medium was email action, like so. There, and I clicked apply, right? This would nothing would get bucketed under email. Why? Because the medium, the default channel group has to equal email, which none do that have a medium of email, right? By the default rules. This is anded. That's not what we want. So don't do that. What you want is or. In fact, there's almost never a case that I think you would use the and group unless you had a very specific channel grouping you were creating here. So almost never do you need that one. You need the or button over here. All right. And in our case, it would be medium, exactly matches email, like so. There are other things you could do here, right? A safer bet would actually be here. Almost always, my guess is going to be that any regex, which you can look up how to use regexes, right, will match anytime email is in the medium. I could do that as well. That would probably be a safe bet. Anytime email is in the medium, it's going to be here. You also might have a medium. You might say your source matches Klaviyo, and these are case sensitive, so be careful with that. So email matches Klaviyo, like that, right? That's a really common one, although be careful with Klaviyo because sometimes it can be SMS, so you may not want that, right? Okay, good. All right, so I saved that channel, right? And then the other big thing is don't forget to save the channel group. And now I've created my channel groups, and I've updated the email to include my emails. All right, you're gonna go down the list and do it for all of these, right? Now, I wanted to show you one trick because if you really trust Google and you say like, hey, for the most part, organic social is going to be correct here, right? Facebook is social. Let's go ahead and look at that definition. What is organic social, right? Organic social, the source matches a regex list of social sites. That doesn't sound very helpful. I'll show you where that comes from. The medium is social, blah, 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 right? Here's one thing. This would miss out on social referral traffic. So that would be an important one to add. This to me is organic social, right? Good, cool. But you see that this is ORed here. So I actually don't need to enter this because anytime it's Facebook, right, then it's not going to get bucketed under this because it is going to be first, it looks for paid social, which has to have a medium of CPC, right? And we see here that this medium has a referral, which is the default medium. Okay, so what would happen here, right? This says source matches a list of rejects and the medium matches CPC. Whereas down here, the source matches a list of social sites. Facebook's on that list, of course. And the medium is one, or the medium is one of these. So looks like we have a conflict here. Who wins? It's the order. What does that mean? Up here, Google is going to go down this list in order to find the matches. So if I had a Facebook CPC as my medium, my source and medium, then we would have, I would go down this list and I would see it would go, Facebook and the medium is CPC, put that under paid social. If I had medium is referral, it's going to go down this list and it's going to say, oh, Facebook, but it's not CPC, so keep going. And it keeps going down the list until I get to organic social, which it does match the rules for that. That's why I can reorder these. So order is going to be important. So it might be, you might have UTM conflicts, for instance, between Facebook. You might have Facebook, um, a Facebook affiliates, right? The source is Facebook and the medium is affiliate, right? What would that get bucketed under? It would get bucketed under organic social by default, right? Why? Because the source was Facebook and it hits that first. So to prevent that, you would go ahead and lift affiliates probably all the way to the top, right? Right under direct. Anytime there's an affiliate in the medium, you just want that to be affiliate and you'd hit apply. Okay, don't forget to save and you save your group. So that's the fastest way to make sure that you get all of your channel groupings into GA4. Don't forget that order is important. In particular, I want you to take a look at email, paid social, organic social, and affiliate programs. Those are going to be the important ones that may not be covered the way you want by default. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take a look at our Slide Rule Analytics app. And you can also take a look at our Intro to GA4 course if you're struggling to get around the reporting. Thanks so much.